So we're back, and I'm here to continue where we left off. We are about to enter the car, and, to kind of go over what happened right before we started getting going for the day. And I do apologize in advance. I have a little bit of a cold doing this portion, and I probably sound a little congested or under the weather, so bear with me throughout this portion. Just a reminder that, again, I'm going to try my best to de-identify some of these things because it is important to make sure that we respect everybody's privacy, and so that you really just get the gist of what this was like. So we were in the coffee shop meeting, and I had actually finished my tea already. And before we left, they had reminded themselves out loud that they needed to grab coffees for the first office that we were going to stop by. They stated, "I know how they like their coffee. I'm going to get this way." I had offered, "Hey, do they need cream sugars?" Things like that. They clearly said they like their coffee black, and they will be so happy that I have it. So kind of a little small detail, but really important for this representative because they really know their client. And they even added 11 loaf and things like that. A really interesting anecdote about when we were waiting for our coffee, our name to be called, and is that we actually had run into other reps. I wasn't aware of it, or when you see a person rather, and they have 6 coffees they're putting into these trays, and there's 2 of them, and there's maybe these 2 guys, and they're well dressed, and you can recognize that they are just like you. They're the same kind as you. Now, they might be doing sales in something else. They might be doing medical device sales. They might be doing just general business sales or tech sales. But you can always recognize another rep when you are a rep. So that was pretty amusing. So once we grabbed our coffees, the plan was to visit a few offices and then stop by an office for lunch. But we had to actually come all the way back about a half hour to grab the lunch and take it with us to the last clinic. That was going to be my last stop of the day. So while we were driving to the first doctor, they had emphasized the goal that was in front of them with this particular doctor and what they hoped to achieve. Always the goal is try to grow their particular territory and increase the amount of instances that, their product is moving and being pushed. That is the ultimate goal, which is, closing the sale. But they had talked about a couple strategies of how they try to accomplish this. And a lot of it is a soft skill tactic. And unfortunately, I didn't really get to witness this particular person starting something from scratch. This person has been working at this years and years. And from my interview experience, I had spoken to senior leadership, and they had said maybe it might take you 2 years to get this particular doctor to move. And that terminology is interesting. It might take you this amount of time to really, go from an area where you're stuck or you feel like you're stuck to a place where you're unstuck, and your target is influencing the mind of someone else. So I'm being briefed from the passenger seat, and this particular rep is just giving me their peace of mind of what they're thinking, and some of it's arbitrary and some of it seems targeted, but they go in with a very simple plan. Usually it's 1 or 2 points. They want to actually pick up where they last left off. So in this particular case, there was something about a lecture, bringing in a lecturer, maybe possibly during a lunch. And then there was another point about cost. And there was a program that they were going to reinforce from the last time that they visited the clinic. So we go in, we walk in, and the first thing that we notice is that we are actually running into real patients and real people. And it's really funny because I think we probably spent more time opening the doors because it was very windy and gusty that day. So we spent more time actually opening the doors because we were afraid that these patients were going to keel over from these heavy double doors, and they're walking through them with literally their walkers, you know, with just very little help. And so we spent a few minutes making sure patients were safe, actually. And it's kind of endearing because we have the office staff who's probably looking at us like, oh gosh, these pushover people. But it's all in good grace, though. It's very clear to me that as I'm here kind of standing as a silent observer, I see there's a very real relationship between this representative and the people that they're talking to. And I was very impressed, and I did find it very tender in an odd way to see this part of the job. It's not really something that people really talk about, and I think that this particular representative, that is their theme. And I think that what is interesting about this point that I bring up is that you kind of set the tone of how you want to make your routes. We do this about 2 more times, but in particular, I think that something that is memorable is there's half the portion where they have a plan, but then there's another portion where a lot of it is unplanned. And you really do have to see them think on top of their toes. And, you know, we're going back and forth and actually grabbing like catering and lunch during one of the doctor visits. And I think we spend almost 35 minutes talking about one doctor and their newly bought Tesla. It was very clear that this doctor was not only really interested in their Tesla, but also interested in stocks and Tesla stocks, and being a very eager listener to what they're saying was important. The last endearing thing that I will tell you is I'm sitting here as a silent observer in my chair, eating Mexican food from a to-go container, and I'm viewing this particular representative and the doctor, and it's pretty dead. There's really not many patients around, but I'm viewing that. I'm like, wow, this looks like a daughter and a father just sitting down for lunch. And that's how familiar they spoke with each other. I sensed it. Now, there is one important point that I haven't brought up, and I haven't brought up maybe the bad sides of these things. I haven't brought up being rejected by the doctor's office. I haven't brought up the calls where, you know, maybe you might get yelled at and they said, hey, you know, we never have reps here. You're not allowed in. I never brought up reps going above and beyond, and maybe they get kicked out of an institution because they go somewhere they're not supposed to be. I'm just so glad that I saw a portion of it that is what you strive for. I'm glad that I saw that really ideal picture of what it could be, and I'm going in with the understanding that you earn every bit of that, and you earn every bit of what gets you up in the morning, and it kind of is your kingdom, so to speak. Your territory is your kingdom and how you decide to build it. So unfortunately, after eating my Mexican from the takeout box, I had to cut my ride along short, and luckily after, you know, picking up the catering, I had actually brought my own car, but I had to leave because I was late for my real job. So totally worth it. I would do it again every day. It's left an impression on me with sales and with being a territory business manager and a rep. And I wonder if this could be a new possible pursuit, maybe a new possible dream. I really do think that I could maybe do it. But knowing me, I'm not so sure yet. Being the analyzer that I am, I think there's still a little bit more to think about. But anyway, like always, thanks for watching. And for today, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Work from the inner self to the outside world. And that's how I can help. Me, Dr. Lee. See you guys later. And gals, can't forget you either.